to use for your assessment. I would never expect you to memorize all of those, because that would take forever. Okay, so if we look at this question, I did put these in Classroom yesterday, so hopefully if you wanted to make a copy or have a look ahead of time, you were able to do so. So I know a few things here. The mean mass, that means mu is equal to 40 grams. And the standard deviation, which is sigma, is 2 grams. So I'm going to put mu on my graph. So if you're given a question like this, I would just draw a quick little bell-shaped curve, put my mean in the middle, and so forth. I just clipped this one because it was really nice. So if I add the standard deviation of 2 grams to the right, this is 40 grams. So this would be 42, 44, and 46 grams. This is 40 minus 2 because I'm now below the mean. This would be 38, 36, and 34. And I would make sure you have grams on here so that you remember what units you're using. Cookies are rejected. Can't imagine rejecting a cookie, but okay. If they weigh more than 45 grams or less than 35 grams. So 45 grams would be in here, and 35 grams would be over here. So it's sad to say, but some of these cookies just don't make it. So I'm looking for what percent is here, and I'm looking for what percent is here. Well, I can get a little bit of a ballpark here so that I know what I'm dealing with. I know this last guy is 0.15%, and I know this guy total is 2.35%. So together, if I add those up, 2.35% and then 0.15%, I get 2.50%. Okay, so it's definitely 0.515%, but I'm now pushed into this other bin between 44 and 46 because that's where 45 grams would be. The same thing would be happening over here. This guy is 0.15%, and this bin total is 2.35%. So it looks like I'm going to be under 2.5%, but more than 0.15%. So I need a z-score that goes with these two pieces of information. So I have to figure out the z-score. We have a nice formula for that we can use. We don't need to reinvent the wheel, which is kind of nice. So if I want to find out the z-score for this guy, I can just use my formula. Z is equal to the data value minus the mean over the standard deviation. So the data value for this guy is at 35 grams minus 40 grams. Oh, I don't need the units in. They're all going to cancel anyway. Divided by 2. So I get a z-score that's equal to 2.5. Actually, negative 2.5. To find the second one over here, I have z is equal to 45 minus 40 divided by 2, which is actually positive 2.5. So I need to find, if I take this one, I already know part of my answer. Because once I figure out what percentage is associated with this negative 2.5, I know this area. I know this percentage. The problem with this one is when I get the z-score here, it'll actually give me a huge percentage because it's all the data or all the area under the curve to the left. So this one's easy. So if I go to my table now at negative 2.5, I'm going to come right over, because it's just negative 2.5, to here. So it's 0.0062. So I record that. So yesterday we talked about what would that look like for a percentage. If I multiply that by 100, I get 0.62%. Now, interestingly enough, the area here is the same as the area here. But if we're not sure, we can look it up in the table. This is a good little review. So again, this is above the mean. So all the z-scores on this side are positive. So I know I have to go to the second table, because I think in your textbook it's on 2 separate pages. And I need to go to 2.5. And surprisingly, actually not surprising, 0.9938. So if I make a note of that guy, 0.9938. That's a lot bigger. Is to the left. So to the left. So that's 99.38% of the data lies this way. So if you actually say, okay, well, if I want this little piece and I know this whole piece, I could do 100% minus 99.38%. And if you do that, you actually get 0.62%. So these guys are the areas. This is the lower and this is the upper. So now I'm going to add those together, because if I can just do, or I could just do this 0.62% of it and double it. But if you want to get the full percentage and write it down, 0.62% plus 0.62% is equal to a total of, for the green, I'll even do it in green, of 1.24%. So now I need to do 0.124, making it a decimal, times, what is it, 10,000 cookies. And that's going to give me 124 cookies. So that's how many out of the total 10,000 that would be rejected. It shouldn't be a very high number, because quality control would be such that they wouldn't want to be getting rid of a lot of product here, just a little bit. So I get the first one. I know the area is the same. I'm just showing you that, yes, it is the same, but if you didn't see it right away, it's not game over. You can still take a moment and use your table to find the values that you needed. Plus, it's a good chance for me just to go over how we read the table. Are there any questions on that one? What if I asked for cookies are only kept if they are between 35 and 45 grams? It's the same question, so to speak, but I would say what percentage are kept. You would basically say 98.76%, because that's most of them, except for this 1.24%. Okay, same question. So I'm going to put the same things on here. I'm going to put on my pink middle here. I'm going to put the mu is 40 grams. The standard deviation is 2 grams. So mu, 40 grams, 42, 44, 46. And then this would be 38, 36, and 34. So this one says what percentage weigh less? So we're just looking for the percentage here. We're not looking for the number of cookies. Weigh less than 39 grams. Well, now I have to figure out where's 39 grams on this scale. So essentially, if you wanted to, you didn't even have to really label above here because 39 grams is below the mean. So if you don't want to label all this, you don't have to because we're not going to use it anyway. If it said weigh more, we might want to. So when it says weigh less, I know when I get my Z-score, I'm good to go. Because when I get my Z-score here, I know that it's already the area to the left. Now, one little thing I wanted to point out here. This is -1 standard deviation. This was -2 standard deviations, and this is -3. This is between -3 standard deviations and -2. This was between. This is +1 standard deviation. This is +2, and this is +3. And this was between 2 and 3 standard deviations. So that works out just fine. So over here, this is -1 standard deviation, and this is a Z-score that is equal to 0. So when I get my Z-score here, it should be between -1 and 0. Okay, so hopefully it will be if we do this correctly. So Z is equal to, this is the weight of interest, 39 grams minus 40 grams, just to show you why the Z-score doesn't have units, over 2 grams. All the grams cancel out. So I end up with 0.5 for my Z-score. Is actually, sorry, negative. If I watch my signs, negative 0.5 grams. Oh, negative 0.5. Is negative 0.5 between -1 and 0? Yes, it is. So I know I'm on the right track here. It has to be between these two guys based on its mass. So now I'm looking for less than that. So less than means I'm going to be to the left of this bar. Just like Beyonce says, it's always the area to the left when you calculate a percentage for a Z-score, always. So you have to read the question to know, am I looking for the left or the right of that Z-score? If you're looking for the right, you have to do a little bit extra work. Okay, so this is all over here. So if we can just take a moment and try to figure out what this is going to be, I know that this whole piece is 50%. I know this guy is 0.15%. I know this guy is 2.35%. I know this guy is 13.5%. So it's all of this, which if you add it up is 16%. And then I'm into this bin, but I'm not using all of the 34%. So it should be more than 16, but less than 50. So I have the Z-score. I just need to go to the table now and see what percentage actually corresponds. So in the table at negative Z equals -0.5, we'll just get rid of this one so it doesn't confuse us. Negative 0.5 is right here, but I have to go all the way over to here. Because remember, they're not written down the same way. One of them descends and one of them ascends. So I'm getting where they meet 0.3085. So all I have to do is convert that guy to a percent. So 30.85% would be my answer. So as always, we should write a statement. 30.85% of cookies weigh less than 39 grams. Always write a sentence, please. And preferably one that we can see. Sorry. Now, if it asked me for the number of cookies, all I would do here is I would multiply 0.3085 by the 10,000 cookies to get the number. But it didn't ask that, it just asked for the percentage. Okay, same question. 20% of cookies weigh less than what? Okay, so this time I don't have my X value. I don't know what it is. I'm trying to find it. So we did a question yesterday where we talked about, I think it was the top 5% going to a school, I believe. Now, 20% of the cookies weigh less than a certain amount. So if you remember from yesterday, we actually converted that. That was helpful for us to get a Z score. So 20% of cookies weigh less. So weigh less than a certain amount. The percentage accumulates left to right. So I know, without calculating anything, that's 0.15. So you might want to have the regular bell curve on your cheat sheet for sure for your test. I would recommend that. This is 2.35%, and this is 13.5%. So I'm already up to, if I add those guys up, I'm already up to, I think, 16%. So if I did a line right here, this would be 16% of the cookies weigh less than a certain amount. Okay, but I'm not 16%. They want me to do 20%. So my standard deviation is 2. So this would be 38. This would be 36. This would be 34 grams. So 20% is actually going to push me into this bin. So 20% of the cookies should weigh less than, well, should be in this window right here. So I need to figure out where that's going to put me. Okay, so 20%. Yesterday's class, we talked about the 5% making it a decimal so we could look at the table. So this will be 0.2000 because I showed you yesterday 20% would be 20 over 100. Okay, so I want to find that in the table. Well, let's see if I can find it. Oh, first of all, how would I know where to look? 20% is less than half. So I hope we see that we're going to be looking for the Z scores that are negative here. Because if it was more than 50%, it would be on this side. So I'm below, so I need to find 0.200 somewhere. So I'm looking at all of these percentages. 0.1, 0.1, oh, here's 0.1922. Here's 0.1949, 0.1977. I think I'm getting here. Now, it's negative 0.84. So for this one, it's negative, excuse me, 0.84. If I put my negative in there, I'd be all set. So that's the Z score I'm going to use. So yesterday, we added up. We found the average. But in this case, 0.1977 is 0.0023 below, and 0.2005 is 0.0005 above. Yesterday, they were closer. this time they're farther apart. So we can actually just use this. That's very close to 0.2000. So Z will equal negative 0.84. So if I go to my formula, Z equals X minus mu over sigma. And you might say, well, why did I need the Z score? Well, I'm looking for X because I'm looking for a number of grams that the cookies weigh. And then I would have had minus mu, which is 40 over 2. So in this case, I had 2 unknowns. I can't solve an equation for 2 unknowns at the same time. So this is where it's really important to read the question. So now I can say negative 0.84 is equal to X minus 40 over 2. I can multiply both sides by 2. And when I do that, I end up with negative 1.68 is equal to X minus 40. If I add 40 to both sides, I actually end up with 38.32, sorry, grams is equal to X. Well, I think I speculated that I would have to be in this bin. I'm pretty sure I did. But in fact, I'm probably going to be closer to the 38 because I'm just slightly into that bin. So just like the previous one, we would write a sentence. So it says what 20% of cookies. So I'm just going to make this 20% of cookies weigh less than 38.32 grams. That'll be my sentence for this conclusion. So if you did the homework and you were here yesterday and you did the practice or you did the questions along with me or you reviewed them after, this should look very familiar. I put a star by C because it's not a hard question. It's just one more thing you have to do. Okay, same question. 20% of cookies weigh less than, so if I just do this to remind you, less than this means the area to the left. If I asked you what percentage weighed more, I'd be looking for this area above the curve. So that brings us to the next question. Weigh more than something. Well, I don't know how to get a Z score for an area above a curve. I only know how to get the area below. So that's what I do. And then I just worry about, okay, once I have that, I figure out what's above if I know what's below. So if I know 50% is below, I know 50% is above. If I know 30% is below, then I know 70% is above. Because it has to total 100% for everything. So the mean is 40 grams. Now, 18% weigh more than. Well, same like this one. I think 20% I was accumulating here. Well, 18% is actually less than that. So I don't need to label this right now. I can probably get away with maybe not using it at all. And 34 grams. Make sure you put your units on here. 18%. So if I do what I did in the previous one, this is 0.15%. This is 2.35%. I'm already up to 2.5%. This is 13.5%. That's a total of 16. So I hope we see we're getting bumped into this next bin now. For the 18%. But the 18%, this is 18% below. But I want to know what percentage weighs more. So I'm actually looking for this over here. So this time I'm shading in above the Z-score. But I still need to get that Z-score and know what's below because that will help me to get what's above. So I always just shade them in. So you can do it with your pencil. You can do it with, you had a color pencil or a highlighter. It doesn't matter. The visuals in this unit are very, how can I say it? They're helpful, but I feel like it makes things make more sense if we have a picture of what we're talking about. So I need to figure out, because it says it weighs more. So I get my Z-score. Now, again, I don't know what the amount is or what the magical number is, I should say, but I do know I have a percentage. So I can still do what I did before, and that is look up the value in the table. So if I just put this back on, stands out a little better. So 18% as the decimal is 0.1800. I still have to go with the 18%. It's all I know. If I know the area below, I can subtract it from 100% to get the area above. So I'm still below. Oh, wait. I think I did this wrong. 18% of cookies weigh more than that. Actually, I did this incorrectly. My apologies. I need to read things more carefully, don't I? 18% of cookies weigh more. I actually want to be over here. I think I said it 10 times out loud, but I obviously did not listen to what I had to say. So 18% more. So this is what I want, the 18% more, but I kind of work backwards a little bit to try to figure out where it's going to be. You don't have to put this on your diagram if you can't find it, if you're not really sure where to kind of estimate. So this is 13.5 here. So this is 34% here. I'm just going to take this blue thing off for a second. So if I look, here's my mean. This is 40 grams. This is 42, 44, and 46. So it says 18% of cookies weigh more than a certain amount. Okay, so if they weigh more than a certain amount, I have to figure out where that 18% is. Is there a question? So this is 16% to here. So 18% is just going to push me right into this bin. Because these guys, as we know from the previous one, is 16%. So I need to get the Z-score for here. So 18% is 0.1800 in the table. So 18% more here. Well, if we think about it, this is 50% on this side. So 18% more than a certain amount would have to be over here in this area right here. Okay, so that's the region I need to find. So I'll just shade it in so that you know where we're looking. And it's got to be between 16 and whatever the amount, actually between 16 and 50%, because if I'm already through these three bins here with my 0.15, my 2.35, and my 13 and a half, I'm now adding to that 16% some percentage of 34. I don't know what it is yet, but I'm going to find out. Okay, so if I go to the table, I need to find, so I'm on the right side here, above the mean. So Z is positive. So 18%. Well, again, I don't really know where 18% is, because 18% isn't over here. These are all big percentages. But if I'm 18%, could I represent 18% differently since it's not in the table? So I can't find that for where I meet. But if I wanted to say the area below, 100 minus the 18, I think, is 82%. So 82% would represent the region below, 18% would represent the region above. So this is 82%. This is 18%. That's what we're saying. So in the table, I think if I go to that proper page, 0.8200, is there something close to 0.8200? Well, here's 797995, 0.8133. I get 0.8186, and I get 0.8212. Well, these are pretty close, but 0.8186 is under what I need by, what's that, 0.0014, and the upper one is 0.8212. So that's over by almost the same amount, 0.0012. So these guys are pretty close. So this is when I can find the average of the two. So the Z-score, this guy is 0.91, and the other guy is 0.92. So just like yesterday, we're going to find the average for our Z-score because they are about the same above and below what we need. So if I find the average here, I get 0.915. And yes, I will use the whole Z for that one. So Z is equal to 0.915. If we think of our Z-scores here as a little check, this Z is 0, this Z is 1. Is this between or somewhere in between 0 and 1? It is, so it looks like we have our correct Z-score that we need. Okay, so now I have Z is equal to the data value I'm trying to find minus the population mean divided by the standard deviation. So this is just solving a little equation now. I don't know the X value. The mean is 40 and the standard deviation is 2. I get 1.83 is equal to X minus 40. I went through how to solve this yesterday, and I end up with 41.83 grams is equal to X. So is 41.83 grams within this? It is. And you might say, well, how did you know where to put the line? I really didn't. I just knew that 18% is just slightly beyond the 16% I had, so I kept it closer to the 42. I'm not going to get out a ruler and measure it. I'm just going to ballpark it. It's a sketch. So for this one, I'm going to grab this guy, write my sentence. So this time I'm going to say 18% of cookies weigh not less, but more than, what did I have? 41.83 grams. So that would be my statement. So I'm really hoping that you're drawing little sketches here because, believe it or not, they will help you to make sense of the information that's given. Okay, last one here. I'm going to get you to try this one. So I'd like you to try both of these questions. I'll give you some time. I would first draw a little bell curve. It doesn't have to be fancy. I would put on the mean and the standard deviation. So if you did your homework and you're following along, this should be easy. If you didn't, this might be a little tricky, but you should still try it. Okay, so here's the question you can do. If you know nothing else, you really need to be able to know at least where the mean is. That's important. Between 41 and 43 grams, I can probably get away with just labeling this side because if I'm adding, I'm going to be getting the weight of the cookies to be higher and more than 43. The next thing I can put on my diagram, it says between 41. So 41 would be between, yes? Is there a question? I don't know who that is. So on your diagram, hopefully you shaded this little region in here because it's between 41 and 43, and then this is more than 43, so I can just put another, actually this is not too bad of a question because once I have the first one done, I can pretty much do the second one no problem also. So this would be beyond that. So can someone tell me what would be the first thing I'd have to work on here? What do I calculate first?
The z-scores.
Excellent. So Z is going to equal 41 minus 40 all over 2. Z is going to equal 43 minus 40 all over 2. Is that Nick?
Yeah.
Okay. So did you get Z equals 0.5?
Yeah.
Okay. And the other one, did you get Z equals 1.5?
Yeah.
Beautiful. Okay. So that's the first part. Now I have to go to the table to figure out what percentages I'm dealing with. So when you went to the table, what did you get for 0.5?
0.6915.
Between that and that. Yes, I'm trying to read my own handwriting here. 0.6915 for this guy?
Yep.
Okay. Good job. Okay, and then this guy was 0.9332, I believe?
Yep.
Okay. So we talked about this yesterday. You're going to subtract the upper or the lower from the upper. You can leave them as decimals and do the percent at the end, or you can write them as a percent now. It doesn't matter. And Nick, when you subtracted these, what did you get?
24.17%.
Perfect job. Good for you. 24.17%.
Yep.
So that's what you would write a sentence for the first one. I don't really have enough room up there, so I'm just doing them at the bottom. Okay? Awesome. So in between, you just do a little subtraction. Okay. More than 43. Well, the nice part here is I think we already have the region below, don't we? So for 43, we already have the Z score because we just calculated it. And we know the percentage because we got that from the table. But this percentage doesn't represent what I need. This percentage is actually what's below 43, but I want more. So I have to do 100% minus 93.32%. And I hope I did my subtraction right. I got 6.68%. Did anybody else get that?
Yeah.
Good. So if you had the first one done, the second one was really easy to do, wasn't it? So if we said less than 43, then we would have reported the 93.32%, but it actually asked for more. Okay, so I believe the questions are already in Classroom. Can someone check that just to make sure they're there for you? They were posted, I think, yesterday. I will put the notes in here right away. And then Nicholas, did you want me to go over your question that you had?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm just going to save these. So if students don't have questions and you would like to work on your own, you can. If you think you're going to have questions or you have something you would like to ask, you need to stay so you can ask your question. Okay, so I'll just put the updated notes in there for you. So I'll stop presenting just for a moment because I don't think everybody needs to see me. I did, Zoe, yeah.
Miss, I was here by my Wi-Fi just acting up, so I joined a little bit late.
No, I everybody here except for Micah.
Okay,
Dale.
okay.
Yeah, and I knew this because he told me he wasn't going to be here today. But yes, everybody else was marked present. So I'm just going to get rid of the notes I posted yesterday, and I'll because now they're updated.
Wait, we're allowed to leave? Miss? Are we allowed to leave?
If you don't have questions and you're working on the questions on your own, yes. But yeah.
Alrighty. I will talk to you tomorrow. Thank you.
See you tomorrow.
See ya.
Have a nice day, Miss.
Thank you. Oh, this
Thank
is C
you.
block. Right. This is C block,
Thank
right?
you. Bye.
Have a good day.
Bye, miss.
Have a good day.